Hi everyone! We're going to continue to read and talk about poetry, and I hope you're thinking about some of the types that you would like to write about, and you're getting some ideas about maybe some word choice and different writing techniques that you could use. And the book or the collection of poems that we're going to read today are from Pat Mora. It's called Bookjoy Wordjoy. And it's here in Epic, so you could always continue to read it. If we don't read all the poems, you could read it on your own when you log into Epic. And also, after we read this together, you're going to read a book in Epic called How to Write a Poem, and it's going to continue to help you practice and write your own types of poetry. All right, so in Bookjoy Wordjoy, we're going to look at a couple different poems. Sorry, I didn't want my face to be in the way. All right, let's see what we can see. And if you can point out any of the lines or stanzas like we were talking about in the last couple days. All right, let's read this one. Books and me. We belong together, books and me, like toast and jelly, o queso y tortillas. Delicious, delicioso. Like flowers and bees, birds and trees, books and me. Now, remember we talked about lines and stanzas. When we look at this poem, I see how many lines? I see a lot of lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lines. But it looks like it's really only one stanza, right? It's kind of just one whole collection of lines. And that's okay. Sometimes poems have a couple stanzas. Sometimes they only have one. It's just one long poem. It's up to the author. All right. And when we read also, see if we can point out any times that you heard words that were used that made a picture in your head with what you've read. If you heard the poems being written through a poet's eye, not a scientist's eye, right? Pay attention to some of those words. Collecting words. All day I collect words, words that move like wiggle, glowing words, candle, drifting words, butterfly, singing words, ding dong. I collect words that make me smile like tiny, that fill my mouth, bubble and bumblebee, that float along, river, that have a brown scent, cinnamon, that sweetly stretch, caramel. I collect short, hard words like brick, soft words, lullaby, cozy words, snug, funny words, rambunctious, scary words, snake, jumpy words, hiccup, big words, onomatopoeia, oink oink. I whisper, say, shout, write, and sing my words. What words will you collect today? And I heard some words that we talked about the last time we talked about poems. Onomatopoeia. And there's even an example of an onomatopoeia. Oink, oink. Or if we were talking about what sound the snake made, we could say the snake hissed. Hiss is an onomatopoeia, right? So in this poem, there were a lot of examples of words that a poet might use to write through poet's eyes. But it made me think like words that have a brown scent, cinnamon. If you were writing something through a poet's eyes and you said it had a brown scent, cinnamon, you can start to talk about it a lot more. Like maybe you were talking about how a fall day is. Fall smells brown like cinnamon. That's talking about it through a poet's eyes rather than just saying the fall day was wet and rainy and the leaves were on the ground. A poet's eyes would use more descriptive words to paint a picture in your head. Let's see what else. Fireflies. Small gleams of light rise from sweet hot grass. Green, silent blink, blink, there, blink and there, low in bushes, high in swaying branches. Are they lanterns held by sprites who tumble, ride the evening breeze, or tiny twinkles sailing through our night teasing us to dash outside and join the darting sparks? Firefly. So now, did this poem rhyme? No. Did you notice how this poem had lines? And how many stanzas did it look like it had? I see a collection of lines here. That's one stanza. And then I see another collection of lines underneath it. That's a second stanza. So this poem had two stanzas. Some other words and phrases that I noticed, the descriptions that the poet used. Gleams of light rise from sweet hot grass. Green, silent, blink, blink there, and blink there. Small gleams of light. What do you think the poet was talking about? Fireflies. Ooh, looks like a lot more stanzas in this poem. This is called Happy Visits. Sita and I like cookies. Sita and I like tea. Sito and I like whistling and inventing chocolate recipes. The three of us like spying a bunny under a pine tree. The three of us like lizards and yellow columbine. I like to read us stories. I sit in the middle of us three. But best of all, best of all, best of all, I like Sita and Sito to hug me. We are the hugging three. Sometimes the poem might have rhymed, sometimes it didn't. It might have been a coincidence that some of the words rhymed together. Maybe that was just what the poet was choosing, or the author was choosing to do. Again, it's kind of up to you when you're writing poetry. Let's read Library Magic. Vamos, let's go to the library, Tomas says to his family. He shows them his favorite books and his cozy reading nooks. Vamos, let's go to the library, Tomas says to his friends. Hurry! They see libros in stacks and rows. They laugh at funny puppet shows. Vamos, let's all go to the library. Join the fun, a treasure house that's free. Bring your friends and family. Stories, computers, maps, and more. Open the magic door. Like Tomas, savor books and soar. Be a reader, explore galore. So I noticed something with this poem too that sometimes authors use in poetry. Here we heard, vamos, let's go to the library. Vamos, let's go to the library. Vamos, let's all go to the library. We heard the same or almost the same line repeated a couple times. So you might notice that in poetry too, that you've heard one line over and over, so it can really repeat in the poem and really stick with you. We'll read one more, and then if you'd like to continue to read it, again, this book is an epic, and you could come back to it at any time to read your book or to read more. We're going to end with this one called Wordjoy, which was also part of the title. And, what kind of poem do you think this is? I see the title at the top, and then I see the letters going down, and the first letter of each line starts off that line. Did you say an acrostic poem? You're right. This is an acrostic. Wordjoy. Why do I like to rhyme? Open a special story, repeat my favorite words, discover what I can write? Juggling round, singing sounds. Oh yes, it's musica I hear. Year after Wordjoy year. Wordjoy. I hope you enjoyed those poems, and now when you go, I'm sorry, my screen keeps doing that. And now when you go into Epic, you should have an assignment here to read how to write a poem. Go ahead and take a look at that, and it reminds you of different types of poetry, and helps you practice writing some different kinds. So when you're done with that, you could go back to our classroom and upload one of the examples that you've written to share. Happy writing!